Welcome back to Education Champions on Daily News Network. I'm Mike White, and every episode, Sarah and I sit down with educators across the country and talk about the tips, tricks, trades, and technologies going in place to help educate students. Happy Tuesday to you.
Thanks, Mike. Excited. We got a great show today.
We do. And so with education, what's the biggest challenges that you're seeing in the education system right now?
You know, the way that kids learn has changed. Technology plays a role, and it's hard for teachers because that's not the way they learned. So one of the things I find in my work is just helping teachers embrace really the learning process that could be different, but what the benefits of that could be.
So, well, and I'd like to invite Beth Hamilton to the program. So Beth, with the Learner First, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we're talking about challenges and how things are changing. What do you think is the biggest challenge in the education system right now?
Oh gosh, I think one of the biggest pieces, I think Sarah just hit it right exactly, is that the kids these days they're different, right? They're different in a unique and amazing way, but they've grown up with things that as the teachers that teach them and leaders haven't had. And so I think that in an ever-changing world, we have to continue to make the learning meaningful for students. And so it's really about putting those kids first and saying, who are they in our classrooms? And then we need to provide the support for teachers and leaders and community around them to give them what they need. And that's not necessarily going to look like what it did 5, 10, even a couple of years ago. And so continuing learning and providing that support for teachers and leaders is, I think, key to making sure that our students are getting what they need to be successful.
And your background, Beth. So how did you get into education, and tell us about Learner First?
Yeah, well, I won't go too far back. I will tell you my stuffed animals, I always say this, are the smartest ones that ever lived as when I was a child, because I knew I wanted to be a teacher from the start. I couldn't tell you why or how, but I have many impactful people in my life and committing to that service. And so I got into teaching, I think, really young, but even in high school and then in college, of course, I taught elementary school. I was an administrator, a district leader for 10 years. And just 3 years ago, it seems that I joined the Learner First. And I worked with Joanne, our founder, when I opened a school building as an administrator. And she really helped in some coaching and professional development to bring our teachers and build that culture of learning that we wanted at that building. And so when I had the opportunity 3 years ago to join the company and work globally to make an impact on how we set up schools and work with schools and teachers to really build that confidence to teach kids and to put kids first, that's what I ended up doing. So I'm 3 years into this role and love every moment of it. Get to travel and work with leaders and teachers and students and community members across the world to make sure our education meets the needs of each of our kids.
So Beth, as you talk about creating this culture, can you help give us a glimpse into what that would look like from an outsider's perspective?
I think culture is a huge piece of a school. And one of the things we do at the Learner First is we do a lot of coaching and we do a lot of professional development. And that, I couldn't tell you exactly what does that look like in every building, because every building's different, every school's different because of the people inside of it. And so our name, the Learner First, is truly what we do. We put those learners first. And so as we build that culture and we support you to build a culture in your building, it starts with the teachers, it starts with the leadership, and it starts first and foremost with the community and students in the classroom. So when we go into a building, we will get to know a school, we will get to know the people around them, we'll meet with folks, and then we provide some resources and tools to help say, hey, where are you? What do you want? What does success look like for your students? Is that happening? Or what can we do to make that happen? And so we have some progressions because everyone needs an example of what does that look like? What does this mean? But we really focus in on who's your community and how do we bring that out and make it uniquely yours and meaningful and fulfilling to the community, to the people that you serve.
So in your work with teachers, what do you find is the biggest challenge for teachers in creating this culture?
Yeah. Sometimes I think that it's the bravery, or it's I would call it sometimes permission to step outside the box and try something new. I'm a firm believer in taking risks, and if it's best for kids, then you gotta try it. And so sometimes it's just getting teachers to say getting them to know it's okay to take a risk or try something different, because so many times we have a curriculum in front of us, or we have different initiatives. But if we're not doing what's best for kids, we're never going to meet their needs. And in the end, education is about providing that meaningful learning about who students are, how they connect with others, how they build their competencies and their knowledge all together. And so getting teachers to sometimes go, okay, I'll try something new, and it's okay to fail because we're just going to learn from that. And it's a really hard thing sometimes when you are in your classroom all alone with a bunch of kids, and you might fail. We all have. I have as a teacher. And so to get them to go, it's okay to do that and share with others what worked, what didn't work, because the more we can share, the more we're going to find different strategies and practices that work within our community to support those kids.
Beth, last question. You talk about leadership. Tell us about Joanne, the founder of your company.
Oh my gosh. So Joanne McKecken is a fantastic boss and great leader, education leader. And so Joanne is from New Zealand originally. She's worked in many different aspects. Her passion lies within education and serving others. And she started working there, came over to the US, went back. Her biggest pieces though she's worked with Michael Fullen and the new pedagogies for deeper learning, writing some of those tools. But what she really will tell you is the passion lies and the need is not in the why, because we all know that education is about serving kids, but it's about how do you do it. And so really thinking about what does that look like on an everyday basis in classrooms. And that's where she continued to do research and continued to work and coined and created what we all call contributive learning, which is creating everyday learning experiences and environments that have not only academics present, but also integrating self-understanding, connections, and competencies. Some would call them traits, some would call them social emotional learning. Well-being is what we use, but putting those together in everyday learning. And she does this through her own experience. As an Indigenous woman, she does this as her experience in the work that she does across the world and sees. And so being able to put all that together and provide resources and tools and support to make the world a better place, to contribute.
That's amazing.
Is what our goal.
So, well, thank you, Beth, for taking the time to come on with us and share your insight today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
To find out more about Beth and all the amazing things they're doing in education, visit us at dailynewsnetwork.com. We'll see you next time on Education Champions.
I'm Sarah Schaefer, founder of Methodology. We're a company that's invested in helping parents, teachers, students understand the whys behind the math concepts and not just the how-tos. Understanding how math connects the ideas connect and should not be taught in isolation. We need to provide these connections. This is what I do, and this is what I'm so passionate about. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will take advantage of the support and the training that we offer.